So while we're waiting for folks to get on, I want you to put in the comments who you are, where you're from, and then your favorite either movie that involves archery, book, favorite character who uses a bow and arrow, anything like that, put that in the comments. And then while you're doing that, I have some archery fun facts that I found for you. So here they go. And there's only like 5 of them, so it's not that many. So first fun fact is that the first known use of bows and arrows in combat was in 2340 BC by the Babylonians. Cool. It is believed that bows and arrows have been used for at least 25,000 years based on the discovery of arrowheads in Africa. Archery is considered to be one of the oldest sports in the world. In the 1904 Olympics, archery was the only women's sport. And finally, the first country with organized archery competitions was England in the 1500s. So again, just some cool fun facts about archery. And like I mentioned before, we're doing the Cadette Archery Badge today, steps 1 through 3. Those steps are: 1, get to know archery equipment. 2, learn about archery safety. 3, practice archery before you go on the range. And then in order to earn the badge, you need to do steps 4 and 5 on your own, which will lead you to shoot at an archery range. And then 5, create an archery challenge. So let's kind of get started. By the way, this is my niece Maddie. She's going to be helping us out today. So, but let's get to know our archery equipment real quick. So right over here, I got some bows out for you. And as you can see, they're all very different. So I'm going to start off with this one right here, and I'm going to show you all the parts on this one too. So this right here, this is your recurve bow, and this one is the one that I prefer to use. Sorry, I had that upside down. I prefer to use it just because, I don't know, I just feel most comfortable with it. But anyway, so right here, this is the upper limb of the bow, and then the lower limb of the bow. You have your grip right here where I'm holding it. You have the sight. You have the bowstring right here, and then right here, this little brass bead, that's the nocking point. You're going to put the arrow right below that. And a lot of bows and arrows, or a lot of bows have similar parts like this. So this one right here, this is a compound bow. Compound bows are a little bit different. These ones have wheels. The recurve does not. So it looks kind of similar, but different because of the wheels. But it still has the upper and the lower limbs, the grip, the rest, the nocking point. This one actually has a guide for your fingers and where to place them. So very similar. Show the wheel. There you go. And then this one right here is actually a child's bow. It's very similar to a longbow, and I actually grew up with longbows. My dad used to make his own, and he would go out hunting with them. So I was most comfortable with that as a child, but then as I started going to summer camp and stuff like that, I started to like the recurve more. And this one just has the bowstring, the upper and the lower arms, and then the grip. So there are those. Okay. So those are your bows, and then you have your arrows, which is the thing that is projected by the bow. So we're going to come over here real quick, and I have a couple of different arrows. Arrows are made out of a couple of different things. We have wood arrows. I don't have any of those with me, but I do have some that are made out of the fiberglass. So this one's a fiberglass arrow right here. We use these a lot at camp, and occasionally we also have ones made out of aluminum. They're very lightweight. This one does not have a tip on it. I'll talk about that later. This one I just don't think we ended up putting a tip on it yet. You also have ones, so I said wood. You can do like, there's normal like solid pieces of wood, and then there's some that are made out of bamboo. There's composite. So a bunch of different materials that arrows are made out of. And then that part that I was just talking about, what they're made out of, that is what's known as the shaft of the arrow. And then a lot of people also know a lot about the arrowhead. So this arrowhead right here, it's a little rusty, but these ones are made for target sports, so they're easy to come out of the target. There's also some that are called broadheads. They're really sharp. Those are the ones that hunters use when they're like going deer hunting or something like that. There's also ones that kind of look like a fork, because those are used for fishing or frog gigging, depending on what you like to do with that. And then these things right here, a lot of people call them feathers. These are what's known as the fletchings. And there are different shapes and sizes depending on what you're using them for. So some that look like this, these ones are for target sports. The ones that are for hunting are a little bit different sometimes. And then this one right here is my favorite. This is a flu-flu. Flu-flus are meant to go short distances for aerial targets. So that one's really cool. And then the other part that's really important is this orange bit on here. This one's orange, the other ones are like green and red. This is the knock. This is the part that sticks to the bowstring. You guys see that? There's that little space in there. The string goes in there. Back to the fletchings real quick though. I did forget to mention, so this one has 1 white and 2 orange fletchings, or what used to be orange. They're a little bit sun-bleached by now. The one that is the odd color out, when you shoot, it needs to be on the outside so it doesn't scrape across the bow, so it doesn't move all funky like that. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these are your bows, your arrows. And now we're going to talk about some safety equipment. So Maddie, if you want to come over here, she's going to demonstrate putting these on. Okay, so your first bit of safety equipment. I have 2 different ones, but they're the same thing. These are your arm guards. And each arm guard, they have a skinny end and a thick end. Okay, she's going to put this on the arm that she holds the bow with. And Maddie, what arm do you hold the bow with? Okay, so she's going to put that on there. The skinny end is going to go down by your wrist, and the thick end is going to go down here by your elbow. So let me know if you need help putting that on. Yep. Put that through. Yep, just like that. How do I do that? Need help? You got it? Awesome. And you might want to, let's untighten it just a little bit because we want it to be a little bit farther down here. That's where I tend to hit myself a lot of the times when I do archery. Hold on one second. Here we go. Now do it. Okay. So that's arm guard. That's going to protect your arm from getting hit by the string. They also make shoulder guards that go right here across your chest because sometimes you can hit yourself on the chest. I've done it before. It does not feel pleasant. That's why we have guards. But we don't have the shoulder guards right here. And then we have these fun doodads. They look different depending on which kind you get. There are some that look like little gloves that just cover... Sorry, I'm moving too much. They just cover your 3 middle fingers, and these ones are just a piece of leather that covers the front. So she is going to put this, Maddie is going to put this, the fluffy side is going to go in like this, okay? And you're going to put your ring finger and your middle finger through the holes. Like this. Move it. Like that, okay? And slide it down. And then you'll just flip it up, just like that. Make sense? Cool? Okay, so that is your safety equipment for archery. Anybody have any questions so far? Comments, concerns? Safety glasses. You do not have to have safety glasses, but you do need to make sure that you have little wispies like this tucked behind your ear. That way you don't pull your hair out, because that would hurt a lot. Okay, so we covered that portion. Now, let's see what's next on our list. Nope, you gotta keep it on. We're gonna go over archery rules. So I'm actually going to go out here. And Maddie, do you want to pick which bow you want to use later? Alright, go ahead and pick it up, and we're gonna walk it out there. Okay. Go ahead and just set it right there. Okay, so we're going to go over some range rules. This is part of step 2, learning about archery safety. So I'm just going to put this right here. And each archery range has very similar rules, but they might differ just depending on where you are. So here are our range rules. We have them. That way when girls do come out here to do archery, they can see them as well as read them. Okay, so rule number 1 here is know and obey all range commands. We're going to go over that in just a second. Number 2 is keep your arrows in your quiver until you are told to shoot. So right over here, this is our quiver. We have our arrows just hanging out there until we're ready, until I give Maddie the signal to go ahead and pick them up. Great. Always wear your arm guard and finger tabs. Maddie, are you still wearing your arm guard and finger tabs? We're good. Make sure your finger tab goes on your other hand, though. Yep. Thank you. All right. Only use arrows the instructor gave you, and remember what they look like. That is because sometimes you get to shoot multiple times, and it'd be unfair for you to have like 6 arrows where the other person used to have 5 and now only has 4. So just remember what arrows you're shooting look like and keep track of them when you shoot them. 5, always keep your arrows pointed down towards the target, down or towards the target. Shoot only at your target. That's kind of self-explanatory. We don't want to accidentally shoot each other. We don't want to actually fall down and hurt ourselves on the arrow tips. So make sure you're only pointing at the target or at the ground. 6, if you drop an arrow or leave it on, if you drop an arrow, leave it on the ground. Don't bend over to pick it up because it's going to be passed during a fire, and we don't want you to do that. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And always walk at the archery range. You never want to run just because anything could happen. Want to be careful, want to be safe. We don't want to trip and fall and get hurt. Questions so far? Cool. Now, we're going to talk about the range commands. Now, some people like to use whistles. I don't like to use whistles because half the time I don't have a whistle. And the other half of the time it's just easier for me to tell you because sometimes you forget what the different commands mean. But I'll go over both. So when you're on the archery range and you hear 2 whistle blasts, that means archers go to the shooting line. The shooting line. Nick, if you just want to look, we have just a string across the ground. That's our shooting line. Sometimes it's painted on there. Sometimes it's just a chain or a piece of rope. Today we just have this string. I will not paint your grass. If you hear 1 blast, that means begin shooting. What I do when I do teach archery, is I will go up to each archer the first time they're shooting and help them out, and then I'll tell them from there, hey, you can continue shooting, but that just depends on who's teaching. I like to make sure that everybody's all set before they keep going. 3 blasts means walk forward and get your arrows. After everyone's done shooting, you will have the ability to go forward and get the arrows off the target. We'll go and see what that looks like in a minute. And that also means, like, you don't have everyone walking out there while other people are shooting. And 4 or more blasts means stop what you're doing, or if you hear me yell, stop what you're doing, that means something's going on, someone's gotten hurt, someone's walked past the line of fire, and we don't want them to get hurt, or like a deer or a turkey or something are out on the archery range, because that happens sometimes. So those are the range commands. Okay. So I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like when I teach archery with Maddie right over here. So I'm going to set this on the ground. What? Yes. So we're going to just put these on again. Like that. Yep. Got it. Oh my gosh. I can do this. There we go. We got it. Okay. Those are my least favorite kind because that happens to me every single time. So, Maddie, first of all, just pick up your bow. And Nick, if you want to actually come to this side so you can see her. Okay, so, archer, you may approach the line. Okay. Archer, you may straddle the line. Archer, you may pick up your arrow. And at this point, this is when I towards the ground or towards the target. That way we don't accidentally do something bad. Yep, you got it right. And you see how she has this odd colored fletching out? That's the way it's supposed to go. Okay. You got it. Okay. And this is actually part of step 3, keeping good form. We're going to show you good form for shooting. So Maddie's got her right arm straight out in front of her. She's going to put her elbow up for her left arm and back like she's elbowing me in the hand. Okay. And then, when she's ready, she's going to let go of the string, and the arrow is going to go forward. So whenever you're ready. All right, and she hit the target. So what I want you to do right now, Maddie, is go ahead. You're done shooting all your arrows. Put them on the ground and wait for the right command to come back over here. Let's pretend other people are shooting. Da, 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 da. Pew, pew. Pew, pew. Okay, archers, you may retrieve your arrows. So let's go up there. We're going to show you the right way to retrieve an arrow. All right, so what Maddie's going to do is she's going to put one hand flat against the target with the arrow in the crook of her thumb and her pointer finger. She's going to use her other hand. It's all the way down there by the target, and she's going to pull it. All right, and while she's waiting, she's getting the other ones out. She's going to put that one on the ground and get the other two out. You can take that off. I'll hold it. There you go. Okay, so now Maddie has all of her arrows out, and Maddie is either going to hold the arrows like a bouquet of flowers or the Olympic torch, however, or like this. This is another, the turkey tail, as I like to call it. She's going to walk back, and she's going to put her arrows in the quiver. So that was kind of good form. Hold on one second. Eye dominance. Remember we did this earlier? Yeah. So we didn't talk about eye dominance, but that's something that is a good idea to check before you shoot. We already did this earlier, so we already knew. But to check what eye you're dominant in. So now, you know how you have like a dominant hand where like if you're playing sports, like you're in baseball, you have the catcher's mitt on your dominant hand because that's the one you're more comfortable with, or you write with your dominant hand. You also have a dominant eye. So what you do to check eye dominance is you make a triangle with your hand and you focus at a point in the distance, okay, and you want your hand straight out in front of you, and then you're going to bring this triangle towards your eye, and whatever eye your triangle lands on is your dominant eye. Some people are both right-eyed and right-handed. Other people, like our lovely cameraman Nick, are left-handed and right-eyed, so he can actually shoot right-handed. So that's always a good thing to check too, especially if you've been shooting and you haven't checked that and you're like, you know, I just don't have it quite right. It's always a good thing to check. The last thing I wanted to talk about is how to score archery, because sometimes people actually do it as a competition. So we're going to go back up to the target real quick. And I did some research yesterday, a couple days ago, to see how they scored in the Olympics, and it looks the same on this target right here. So in the center right here, this, if you shoot an arrow right here, that's worth 10 points. And as you go out, it gets less and less. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's how they score in archery. It also sounded like they gave them either 15 or 20 seconds to shoot. I'm not exactly sure on that, but that is how you score archery. Usually when you're taking an archery class, you're not doing it as a competition. You're just kind of learning and honing your skills. But as you get up there in those archery classes, you might start doing competition things like that.
So I made 8 or 7.
8 or 7. I'm not really sure. I don't remember what you shot. Okay, so that's pretty good, right? All right. So that was steps 1, which was get to know your archery equipment. Step 2, learn about archery safety. And step 3, practice archery before you go out on the range. So again, in order to get your Cadette Archery Badge, you need to shoot on an archery range, which once everything calms down, sometimes council has archery programs that you can go out and do. And then step number 5 is create an archery challenge. So maybe you kind of do a game where you fill up balloons with flour and you're trying to shoot them or something like that. But create some kind of archery challenge. And then once you complete all those 5 steps, you will be able to eventually get your badge from the shop. You can go to the online shop and get those. And then just, again, a reminder, we did steps 1 through 3. You need to finish steps 4 and 5 on your own. And once all those are complete, you can get the badge online. If you enjoyed this video and you're not a Girl Scout, please visit girlscouts.org/join to find out more on becoming a member. And then tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Marissa to hear about the Senior Traveler Badge. And make sure to share how you finished out this activity somewhere in the chat. That's all I have for you today.